Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So since we last spoke, the Saints have had two practices. They've practiced under the lights Tuesday night at Yulman Stadium, then came back for a noon practice at the practice facility on Wednesday. So those are both in the books. I'll try to encapsulate everything, including the high points. A continued shuffle on the offensive line. A couple of starters returning on Wednesday. But Dennis Allen after day 19, which was the night practice at Yulman.
We had a lot of fun out here. We got some good work done. Obviously it was a shells practice, so it wasn't, the same physicality with that we were, doing in a lot of those practices out in California. But it's good to be back. We're excited about being back, and we still got a lot of work to do, and that's what we're in the process doing now.
So you could hear all the excitement in the background. You could hear kids screaming, the autographs, the pictures are really cool, all the videos that came out. A really cool video that the Saints posted of Tyrann Mathieu giving his cleats. He was wearing like purple and gold LSU cleats, giving his cleats to a kid there, right there behind the partition watching, which is just awesome. This is the kind of thing, I don't mean to be like romantic and sentimental. I mean, God forbid I do that. But this is why the Saints fans love the Saints. There's sort of just this community love affair with that organization and the team that's almost unmatched relative to other NFL teams. Such a cool picture the Saints also posted on their social media of Tyrann Mathieu sitting on the bench, looking at the field, the sun setting off in the distance. Just a very, very cool moment. And you can do these types of things at a place in a city like New Orleans. That's not one of these giant, sprawling metropolitan areas where there are other allegiances. In New Orleans, it's the Saints. It's Saints is not 1A, 1B. It's like it's Saints, and then you start to fill in everything after. So just a cool thing that they were able to do that. Now, for me, the highlight of the Tuesday night practice was probably an unorthodox highlight. How about a kicker booming a 65-yarder? Are you freaking kidding me? Charlie Smith booted a 65-yard field goal in practice at Yulman. And by the way, if you haven't seen the video, with room to spare, like, guesstimate for me. That good from 70?
Yeah.
68?
At least 68, but probably 70.
I mean,
was that halfway up the uprights when it went through?
I'm not so much interested how far up the uprights because it was descending. It's more where it landed, like where it crossed the crossbar. He cleared that thing by 3 to 5 yards. I mean, that would have been good 68 to 70. Boomed it. Incredible. And so Dennis Allen naturally was going to be fired up about his kicker hitting a 65-yarder, right, DA? You're fired up about that.
Yeah, it's nice to know that you can knock one in from 65. I think we kicked 6 in that deal, and I think he was 5 of 6, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought he kicked the ball really well in the practice environment. And look, he's a talented player. And yeah, I think being able to make one from 65, I think that's great. But we're not going to attempt a ton of 65-yarders. So it's really, to me, what are we really getting inside of 50? And the consistency in that range, because that's where a majority of the kicks are going to come.
I mean, he's not wrong. You're not going to attempt a bunch of 60-plus yard field goals. But damn, man, you going to throw a wet blanket on that? Dude kicked a 65-yard field goal with room to spare, man. You can be a little pumped up about that. You got fans everywhere being excited and enjoying wonderment and merriment and all that good stuff. Yeah, I get it. There may only be a couple of times over the course of the season where you're going to attempt that distance of a field goal. So we fired up for it, man. In any event, by the way, Blake Grupe only attempted 9 field goals last year, 50 plus, and none of them was 60. So he didn't attempt any kicks that were 60 or beyond. That would likely change with Charlie Smith. And I would say this. If nothing else, that does change the math for you in end of half and end game scenarios. Early in the game, maybe you don't attempt a 65-yarder because you don't want to give your opponent the ball in plus territory right? You don't want to give them the ball at your 45 if you miss it. But at the end of a half, now you know your target is, look, if we get out to our 40-45, we can at least take a shot, which is crazy to think. In any event, the real news, though, came on Wednesday at practice. And there were two sort of personnel notes of significance. One, and our buddy Mike Triplett noted this, I know others did on social as well, but Alvin Kamara and Paulson Adebo both returned to full team drills. Now, Lucas Patrick left early with the trainers, and that's a bummer. We'll get to the offensive line again here in a second. But Kamara and Adebo back is really significant. Obviously, we've talked about the cornerback injuries with Lattimore with the groin, Adebo having been out, and Kool-Aid McKinstry being injuring his knee in the preseason game against San Francisco this past Sunday. So 3 of your top 4 guys have been injured. It looks like McKinstry's going to be okay. I think we expect Lattimore is going to be back. He'd started doing work off to the side last week, at the end of the week in Irvine, and now Adebo is back to full practice. It's a line I love. Mike D said it forever. Practice is for the unskilled. When you got guys that you know are Sunday players, just get them to Sunday healthy, and it looks like that's what they're doing. And obviously, we've been looking a lot at the running backs as well. Whenever, when Dennis Allen was asked about the bubble and roster bubble guys, the guy he mentioned by name was running back Jordan Mims.
I've seen him do some good things for us, and I think he's in a battle to, be on the roster and be one of the 53, and I think, this week will be important for him, just like the other preseason games have been. No different than I think James Robinson's kind of in that same boat. Cabote's got to show us what he can do this week. So I think for a lot of these guys, there's some spots that we're still, evaluating, and so I think this is an important week for a lot of guys.
I'll be interested to see what they do at running back. Naturally, Kendre Miller is the one that we're seeing if he'll make it. But Jordan Mims has acquitted himself very nicely so far through camp, through a couple of preseason games. So not only necessarily as a back, but also as a guy that can return kicks and punts if you need him. And with the new kickoff rule being what it is, where you're going to see, we've seen in the preseason some 80% of the kickoffs returned, yes, that's going to matter for how you can win a roster spot. So another guy worth keeping an eye on. So Kamara and Adebo being back, significant news. The other part, as Mike noted there on the offensive line, Lucas Patrick, who's been running as the first-team left guard, replacing Nick Saldiveri, who had been injured, left with trainers. And then the shuffle continued on the right side. By the way, rookie Kyle Hergel is the one who replaced Lucas Patrick at left guard. So you've gone from Nick Saldiveri to Lucas Patrick, now to Kyle Hergel at left guard. But Oli Udoh and Trevor Penning continue to split time at right tackle. And let's start with the one about Oli Udoh, because this is so interesting. A guy that hasn't necessarily played great, but the fact that he's still getting reps with the ones is telling you Trevor Penning clearly hasn't won the job.
I think Oli's a guy that, as we've gone through and seeing a significant amount of snaps from him in training camp, which we didn't get an opportunity to see this spring, look, he's a guy that we want to take a look at that spot. And, those guys will compete, and we'll see what happens.
So still nothing decided there, and not just at right tackle, but remember, you came into camp with offensive line as your biggest question mark, because you knew coming into camp you had 2 definitive starters. You had Eric McCoy at center, and you had Cesar Ruiz at right guard. That was it. You knew those 2 guys in their spot. Everything else, you hope Taliese Fuanga wins the left tackle job. You hope Trevor Penning won the right tackle job. You hope Nick Saldiveri stuck at left guard. But Saldiveri's injured. Penning has still been a turnstile. Fuanga's injured right now. So here was DA Tuesday night on the offensive line competition.
I'm going to be really honest with you. I think we got 2 guys right now that I'd say, without a doubt, we know exactly what we're getting, and that's Cesar and Eric. I feel very comfortable that, Tali's going to be fine over there on the left side, and I think we're still, evaluating the left guard, the right tackle. I saw some things that were improved out of Trevor this week. which was positive to see. I think this will be another great week for him to, maybe build some confidence off that performance.
One more preseason game, then it's roster cut down, then you're into game week. So you're running out of reps, running out of opportunities to figure this out. Now, a month in, just shy. No, you're just shy of a month in. I think it's today. Didn't they start on the 21st? I think it was. Anyway, from training camp, and you haven't settled those offensive line positions. So got a week to do it. See how it goes. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.